asked to speak about attracting and retaining next generation talent. So at Vogue, the iconic magazine. And I did 3 jobs when I was working at Vogue. The first job I did was actually looking at their GDPR strategy. So I met lots of people who were focused on risk, I met lawyers, I met operations people. I then went on and worked in their technology organisation across Europe, meeting people who are both editorial, technologists, digital people from all across Europe. And then I went on and created Vogue Business, which was their first B2B business. And I met people who were in innovation, I met people who were editorial, I met people from across the organisation. And there was one common thread when I went and met these people, when I talked to them about why they were there. And that was that they were passionate beyond belief about the place that they worked. Because these pictures that I got a machine to create for me from my imagination are representations of what they experienced when they were children. They'd actually engaged with that brand at a really early age. And whether they were into the fashion aspect of it or the creativity of the magazine, what they had was an emotional connection to that brand that was formed before they were adults, before they were making those logical decisions about what career they were going to pursue, when they still actually told themselves stories in their head. And today, on the way here, I was watching 2 children going to school, and they were rolling themselves, bouncing against the wall on the street. Now, hands up, who here did anything other than walking as they came here? Did anyone bounce themselves against any walls? No? Did anyone skip? No? Okay. So there is something really important about this, that Vogue does not have an issue in attracting nor retaining next generation talent. Instead, they have an issue of how to actually have a process where you can manage 1,000 applications for every job that you advertise without having nepotism playing a part. So interestingly, it's actually a very similar system to what's happening in insurance, is that there is a lot of nepotism because you need to know people to get into it, but for very, very different reasons. And I think that we need to really look at actually why on earth are they able to be in a situation where they have too much demand for the jobs that they advertise, when it's an organisation that they made a film about. Has anyone watched The Devil Wears Prada? Now, does that suggest an organisation that is focused on your well-being? Is it an organisation that is focused on developing you as a person? It's not, right? I'm not going to say any more about my personal experiences of working in the organisation, but I would say that someone has taken creative liberties to create a film about that organisation, putting the word devil into the film title. So we're very lucky that one of our advisors is a man called Professor Dr. Graus, and he has been working in the education space for a very long time. He likes to introduce himself by saying, "I am old, so I know stuff." He's also got lots of recognition for his work. And he used to be the Director of Education at Kidzania. So Kidzania is a global space where young people can go in and they can experience different careers in an experiential setting. And what he's done is he's collected the data by using cameras in Kidzania to look at what careers young people go and explore. And before the age of 8, there is no difference between what background you have, what gender you have, or any other factor that changes what careers you're going to go and look at. After the age of 8, a boy from an affluent background will go and be a pilot or an astronaut, and a black girl from a poor background will go and be a cleaner and play being a cleaner. And the data has shown him that at 8 years old, those career aspirations are set. Now, he also makes this statement that I think sums this up perfectly, and it's the issue that the industry faces, which is that young people, those people who have a magazine to flick through if they're at Vogue, who can go and see what their parents are doing and see the people around them, they don't see insurance. So we have to actually work out how we can get them to be able to know that the opportunities exist. Because in reality, the opportunity of working in insurance is a much, much better opportunity than anything in media. Not just Vogue, but anything in that domain. Or football. Or YouTubing. Or any of the other things that when we ask young people what careers they aspire to, they tell us they aspire to. And my reasons for thinking that is, first of all, you get paid much better with more reliability working in insurance. You can go and follow your passions working in insurance. If you're into ancient violins or into football, you can find your niche. You can find a way of being able to be in the industry and maintaining your passion. You can go around the world. You're going to get supported on your career development. And it's actually a very collegiate industry compared to other industries. Places like fashion are very competitive. Banking is very competitive. So overall, the question really in my head is actually, what do we deserve as an industry? Right? Do we deserve to have a situation where young people are really aspiring to work in the industry? Because I challenge you that at the moment, when I speak to people about talent in insurance, I get told that we're doing these things. That we've filled our apprenticeship roles. That we are working with social mobility partnerships to be able to get people from different backgrounds into our organisation. But I also get told that we certainly don't have 1,000 applicants for every role that we're trying to fill. I get told things like, actually, in the specialty market, if I'm looking for a claims handler, there's spiralling wages because we're just going to the same people. And that wouldn't be the case if we actually had an aspiration. And so I think that we should be going, actually, let's put ourselves in a position where we have a hard problem to solve of having 1,000 applicants for every job, irrespective of what that job is. Hands up anyone in the room who's already achieved that, just make sure I'm kind of not missing the mark. Anyone at that level? No, okay. So, what we actually did, because what I heard was everyone talked about there being a talent crisis in the industry. And so what we decided to do was say, well, if there's this talent crisis across the industry, why are we not seeing the investment in talent at the scale to go and pursue the level of ambition that I've just outlined? So I thought, well, it's a risk-based industry, isn't it? If there's a risk, if we can price that risk, then maybe we can say, actually, look, the UK insurance industry has a talent risk, and that price has been set at Lloyd's. This was room G11 that we did this in. Now, I did give people alcoholic drinks before they did this. Does anyone want to guess at what price, on an annual basis, for the UK insurance market, that risk was priced at? No one's wanting to put their hands up to that one. So, we did also think about the consequences of that risk for the wider UK economy. And that came out as £37 billion a year. Now, I was also sitting next to the chief underwriter at Liberties, who was definitely on the lower end of the spectrum, at a mere £500 million a year. So that's the range of someone who probably was very well placed to have that conversation, who probably drank slightly less beer than I had, and was still coming up with a number that is really significant. So we know that we could actually set an ambition, and we could actually look at a way of saying, do you know what, as an industry, we need to invest in this because we need to manage that risk. The question really is, how do we do that? How do we make our industry the industry that teenagers are desperate to work in if they care? Because I think we need to accept that it's not an industry for everybody. We're actually looking for specific people that we want to try and engage in the industry, and those are the people who actually want to make a difference. Because when I speak to people who are passionate about working in the industry, what I hear is the reason people are passionate about working insurance is because they believe it materially matters to the economy, to the way the world works, to making sure that we're able to live the lives in the way that we want to. And so we need more of those people. And so we decided that actually we need to create a vehicle to be able to tell a different story than the story that the insurance industry is currently telling. The current story that the insurance industry tells to the general public is that we will not pay your claim. So everyone's going to say, actually, no, that's not what we will do. I can tell you, I can go to any member of the general public, as you can, and you will have done at every party, where you talk about what industry you work in, where people will talk about their last claim experience. And whether we like it or not, that is the story that the industry tells everybody. That means when someone says, oh, shall I go and work in insurance, their parent, unless they work in the industry, says, don't go and work for those guys. Right? They don't say, actually, they're at the forefront of cutting edge technology. They don't say, that's an amazing career, you can travel the world. They don't say, actually, these guys are really focused on climate change. They're one of the few industries that are strategically aligned to solving climate change because they hold the risk. Those are all things that are true. So if we were able to do something at a scale that we could actually talk about it to the general public, saying we're going to create 1 million solutions to come and actually engage teenagers on how to solve the climate crisis. We're actually doing 3 things by doing that. We're meeting teenagers where they are, because when we talk to teenagers, so we've got 3,500 teenagers that have been on our programs this year, so I speak to a lot of teenagers. What they tell us is the issue they care about is climate change. That's the one that will get them. They also can see through the lens of climate change where they fit into it, because climate change impacts every single passion that they have. They can be into football and be coming up with ideas about climate change. They can be into music and be coming up with ideas about climate change. So it shows that they can actually have their passion, and they can follow their passion going into the industry. And then their parents see the insurance industry coming up with 1 million ideas for solving climate change, and most importantly, they're offering paid work experience to their own children to be able to come up with those ideas, because that's what we do. And what we see is it turns out if you pay an adult teenagers to do work experience, the parents love you. And the teenagers love you. Because cash works. Teenagers love cash. Parents love not giving their cash to teenagers. And it's actually a very cost-effective way of mitigating that talent risk that the industry is facing. So I just wanted to pose that to you, because for me, if we get the acquisition of teenagers right, the retention issue changes. We've only actually got an issue retaining talent because we don't have enough talent coming into the industry. And so there's a lot of focus on how do we change the culture and how do we change ourselves to support these young people. And actually, I think we just need to improve our ambition instead. So I'll be around for the rest of the afternoon if anyone wants to talk to us, because I would love you to come on this journey with us, as Aviva has, as Allianz has, as Generali has, as the London Market Group have, and a few others are currently in the process of doing so. So thank you very much for your time and your ears. That's me. If you can get your phone to scan this QR code thing, you can link with me on LinkedIn, or find me on LinkedIn anyway, because my name is fairly easy to find on LinkedIn. Thank you all.
Thank you for making us all proud to work in insurance. I think you've inspired all of us, as well as the teenagers, so well done on that. And you can also find Mrs. wearing the brightest top while you're here as well, as a QR code. We talked